Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Andrea, and today I have my finale for my 2021 Pan Those Eyeshadows project. This project concept was created by Alexy. I'm sure you all know that by now because there's a bajillion videos with this project because it's so fun and fun to watch. But I will have her link down below. Technically, I ended this project last month. I just never filmed an update or a finale for it, so I'm doing that now. Because of my skin issues, I didn't wear these shadows for basically a month. And then by the time I could wear makeup again, I had gotten in all my Black Friday orders and I wanted to use those. So I may have used I may have used one of these shadows maybe 1 or 2 times in the past 2 months. It's not the best finale, but I'm going to show you what shades I was working on. I didn't hit any pans. Well, I didn't hit any pans in this project. I did hit some pans throughout the past 2 months, but I'm gonna go through the shades that I was working on, show you my bonus. Well, I think I'm gonna do it this way. I'm just gonna show you the 5 that I was working on, and then I have some numbers, and I have all of my pans that I hit this year to show you guys. So let's just start with the 5 that I had in for the past 2 months. First, my Juvia's Place Festival palette, and I had this shade right here, Oro. As you can see, there is no pan. My last update would have been October, so as of that update, I had 23 uses in this. I used it 3 more times, so I had 26 out of the 30 uses for the shadow. I didn't even hit my 30 uses on it, but what are you gonna do? So that is the first one. Next, I was working on a shade from my Juvia's Place, the Berries. I was working on this hot pink right here, this 5th shade. I just realized I'm not going to give you swatches because I don't see the point, because this is the finale, so I'm sorry if you're disappointed, but you can go check out my last video because I'll have, or my last Pan Those Eyeshadows video, because I'll have swatches of all these and they're the exact same. As my October update, I had used this 12 times and I have not used it since. Then the next shadow that was comes from my Glaminatrix U Beauty palette. I was working on the shade right here, Chalkers. Now, because this is a limited edition palette and it's pretty brand new, I went with, didn't want to hit pan. I just wanted to use it 15 times. As of my last update, I'd used it 9 times. I only used it 3 more times, so I only got 12 uses out of it, out of the 15, but it's looking a little bit used at least, but still didn't even manage to hit my goal on that. Next, I was working on this shade from Pretties for Your Face called Zero. At my last update, I had used it 3 more times. Since then, I've used it 3 more times, so I've used it a total of 6 times, and I just didn't reach for it because it's very similar to, what is the name of that? Is it Amethyst Prism that's in my 50 Shades of Purple, and I would reach for that over Zero, so I really didn't get much use out of it. And then the last shadow that I rolled in last time was from my Frida Kahlo and Ulta Beauty palette. It was this shade Lava, which I used a grand total of 0 times since rolling it in, because I was not excited about that shadow. So that's my very underwhelming finale. But I did go through, so throughout the entire year of 2021, I've hit pan in 30 eyeshadows, which I know is not as many as some people, but that's a lot for me. That's more than I hit last year, which I don't remember. Last year, I think I was in like the 20 range maybe. So the number went up, that's good. But I also have like a little I broke it down by project. So for pan those eyeshadows, specifically in this project, I hit 9 pans. And this isn't in the order that I hit them. I went through my spreadsheet and just wrote down every pan that I hit this year in alphabetical order, and then I separated it out by project. So that's how I'm gonna do it. But for the pans that I hit for pan those eyeshadows, I hit pan in this shade Agave in my Frida Kahlo and Ulta Beauty palette. Oh no! What shadow is that? Oh, that's one of the Divina glitters. It just like popped. I mean, it's a beautiful glitter, but it basically just like slid right out of the pan. What am I gonna do with this? Look at all this glitter. This isn't anything that I hit pan on or anything. It's just, it was loose. I can't remember. I think this is Divina Vulcan. Random swatch. Okay, now I gotta go clean my hands off because they're full of glitter that I wasn't anticipating on. Obviously, I need to be a little more careful with my eyeshadows. So, as I was saying, the next pan I hit was in Colored Rain. This is a single in the shade Blue Magic. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of that palette now. Oh my god, this palette is broken. This palette is broken, so it's kind of difficult. But then I hit pan in this shade Cloudberry from my Revolution Soph X palette. Oh my gosh, I need to do something about this. I hit pan in Electrode from my Rebel Rouge Labs Howlin' For You palette. I hit pan in this single from NYX in the shade Golden Peach. I am just like afraid because you can see I badly repressed it. So there is the pan there. I hit pan in the shade Perseguir Sueños from the Nomad Cartagena Mágica palette. I hit pan in this glitter shadow in the Juvia's Place Nubian, whoa. I hit pan in the glitter shadow in this Juvia's Place Nubian Royal palette. I hit pan in the shade Splendor from my Lorac Shine Bright palette. You would think that I would have my crap together, and you would think wrong. And then the last shade, which actually might have been the first shade that I hit pan on this year, comes from Luxy Beauty in the shade Ube. There you can see the pan there. So those were the 9 shadows that I hit pan on within the Pan Those Eyeshadows project. Now, oh my god. I didn't redo my percentages because I had all my percentages done, but then I hit pan and another eyeshadow and I had to recalculate them, except I didn't recalculate them. So I'm gonna go do that real quick. Okay, so I hit pan on 9 shadows for my Pan Those Eyeshadows project out of 30 pans, which equates to 30% of the pans that I hit this year. The next category of pans hit comes from my Pan That palette for this year. And I was working on my Lorac Mega Pro 4, and I actually hit 13 pans in here. So let's see. Some of them might be a little hard to see, but I've got pan in Cotton, Cool Taupe, Cedar, Mocha, Pink Peony, Light Sage, Mahogany, there's not one in there, Dark Chocolate, Foam, Honey, Unicorn, Lotus, and Plum. I think that's 13, right? Yes. So I just want to make sure I got them all. So there are 13 pans in this palette. So 13 out of 30, 43.33% of my eyeshadow pans for the year came out of this palette. Next, I hit 3 pans in my Child of the 80s project pan. I hit pan in, it's hard to see, but it is a pan. I hit pan in Electric, there you can see it, from Subculture in that project. I hit pan in my ColourPop Super Shock Shadow in Fizz for that project. And then I'm not going to open this one because it's going to make a mess, and you can't even tell that I did hit pan in it, but this is a glitter from Copacetic Cosmetics in the shade Temple, and I did hit pan in that through that project. So for that project, I hit 3 out of the 30 pans, which is 10% of my pans for the year. Then I hit 2 eyeshadow pans through my Deck of Panning project. One is this Hikari Cream Pigment in the shade Honeydew. Oops. Can see the pan right there. And then the next, or the second shade, I hit pan in my shade Nectar from my Sweet Peach palette. So I hit 2 pans out of 30 through that project, which is 6.67% of my total pans hit. Then I hit 2 pans in my Beauty Bay Book of Magic palette, which I am using for the Dude You Pan My Battleship project that I'm doing with Verity. I hit pan in Vanish and Manifest. So 2 out of 30 is again 6.67%. And then lastly, where did it go? Here it is. And then lastly, the last pan, which is actually the last pan I hit this year, comes from my 50 Shades of Purple project. It's this single from Makeup Geek in Wisteria. That is my 30th pan for the year. That was the only pan I've hit in that project. So that represents 3.33% of my pan percentage for the year. I don't know what Nathaniel's problem is, but I promise I'm wrapping this video up soon, so you won't have to listen to that for much longer. I, on the other hand, that's just what I get to live with. So all in all, I had a really good year, I feel, panning-wise with my eyeshadows. Not all through this project, but cumulatively, I hit pan in 30 shadows. I think that's really good. I am going to be changing this project up next year, and I am planning on doing updates towards the end of the month again, because I want to give myself, I mean, I've had a little break from this project already, but I want to give myself just a little extra time between starting all the other projects that I'm going to be doing and all the new things that I've gotten into my collection through like Black Friday and holiday sales. I want to wait like another month before I start this project up again. So my intro for next year will be up at the end of January. And I'll just talk about the changes that I'm making to this project now. I have decided, I didn't do Beauty A to Z last year from the Fantastic Ladies, but I decided that the way I'm going to structure it, so these Beauty A to Z and Pan Those Eyeshadows are going to kind of work collaboratively. So Beauty A to Z, I'm doing with just single eyeshadows in order to hit pan or to whatever. I have a couple, like I have one liquid shadow and one loose shadow in that project. So I don't know what my goals will be for those, but that's for a different video. So that being said, I am not going to be working on any singles in my Pan Those Eyeshadows next year. The other thing that I really want to do is I want to make sure I'm rotating through my palettes a little bit more, because there wasn't any one palette that really showed up a lot. I think maybe the Frida Kahlo palette is the only one that I rolled 2 shades in from last year. But I want to make sure I have an equal chance to work on everything And I've decided the way I'm going to choose my shadows for next year is I'm going to have my palettes in like the Tiny Decisions app or some kind of random number generator app or something like that. But I'm only going to have palettes that I have not hit pan on yet, because if I've hit pan on a shade in a palette, I've used at least that shade a decent amount, and there are some palettes that I haven't touched in probably like 2 years, just because I have so much eyeshadow and they just never got rolled into any projects. So if I've got a pan and a palette, it's not going to be included in my list for pan those eyeshadows next year. I'm only going to work on 4 at a time, because I am going to have so many eyeshadows in my Beauty A to Z that I think even 4 is probably a little too much, but I'm going to do 4. And not only will I try to hit pan on one specific shade, and I haven't decided if I'm going to randomize the shade or pick it myself, but not only do I have to hit pan in a shade in a palette, I also want to do it kind of no pan left behind style, where whatever palette I roll in, besides hitting pan in one shadow, I also have to use each shade at least one time, just so I'm not like hyper focusing on the one shadow that I need to hit pan on and ignoring everything else, because that's what I tend to do. So I think that, oh, and since I'm not going to be rolling in palettes that already have pans in them, once I hit pan in a palette, it's going to be removed from my list and it will not be eligible to be rolled back into the project for the next year at least. I don't know if that's the beauty of like this project. You really can tailor it to fit your panning needs or panning style or whatever. Like this is my second full year of doing this project, but this is my 3rd year. Next year will be my 4th year doing it, 3rd full year doing it. Every single year I've changed the way I do it, because things change, your collection grows, you somehow keep getting the same palettes rolled in time after time after time, even though you have like 100 or more. I actually haven't counted my palettes yet, but it's up there. So that's what I'm going to do for next year. It probably won't stay the same for 2023, but that's okay. So I think that's everything I wanted to mention. I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to not only starting over, like refreshing the project in January, but refreshing it with my new rules, because I think it'll help me use more of my stuff that just kind of is not getting used. And I'm excited about it. So that is my Pan Those Eyeshadows finale for 2021. I hope you enjoyed. I hope if you celebrate Christmas that you are having a wonderful Christmas Eve. You have a wonderful Christmas Day. Even if you don't celebrate Christmas, just in the spirit of the holiday season itself, I hope that you're doing well. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you're staying safe and sane and healthy, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.